Welcome back, guys. This is Sid Schumer from PlayStation Blog. I'm joined by Matt Higbee, creative director on PlanetSide 2 for PS4. So, Matt, PlanetSide 2, I know this has been big on PC for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
But a lot of console folks, a lot of PS4 owners haven't had a chance to play this one. Give me the quick rundown. What can we expect with this?
So PlanetSide 2 is a massively multiplayer first-person shooter game, and it allows thousands of players to directly, simultaneously compete with each other in massive, massive battles that include air vehicles, ground vehicles, intense infantry action. It really creates the largest kind of war experience you can have in a video game today.
Nice. So we're seeing some gameplay footage here now for the first time, but what I'm hearing on the street is you guys are native 1080p.
Yes.
Targeting 60 frames a second on PS4. How's it been working with PS4 as a hardware perspective?
It's been really great. You know, I mean, we've been running this game on the PC for a while, and we've been working on different optimizations and stuff. But as a kind of PC studio, being able to work on a PS4 is actually fantastic. You're developing for a piece of hardware that you can make sure you're giving a fixed, consistent performance to all the players who are going to be able to do it. So all our players are going to be able to get that incredible experience of the high graphics fidelity, the intense action without having to worry about losing their frames per second, because we can make sure that we're developing and optimizing specifically for this hardware.
Outstanding. So PlanetSide 2, known for having massive player counts. Tell me a little bit about just sort of the scale and the scope of these battles.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see here some examples of some battles. You have fights in PlanetSide 2 that can rage for hours, and in some cases for days, with hundreds of players fighting. And just the kind of battles that you see in a combined arms game like this, where there's vehicles, and the infantry, aircraft, all fighting at once, are just unbelievable. And it's really, really amazing to see the level of team play, organization, coordination that players go through to be able to be successful in a game like this. And PlanetSide 2 is a persistent game, too. So unlike a lot of other shooters where you might be playing for 15 minutes and the match is over and you get a loading screen and you're restarting on something brand new, in PlanetSide 2, you fight over a piece of territory, and once you capture it, you own it, and now you're defending it against other players. So it is a non-stop, persistent war of attrition, of moving back and forth and pushing the battle lines forwards and back. It's completely driven by players, 100% PvP, and it's just an experience that's honestly unrivaled, I think, in console gaming and in PC gaming.
Cool. So the game is free to play on PC and now on PS4. When it comes out, I guess you guys are targeting late this year?
Yeah, right now we're targeting 2014. And the biggest effort that we have left right now is we have the game running fast. We've got it running optimized well for the hardware. But we're trying to get all of these huge UI windows and screens that are necessary for the big MMO backend sort of made easy to access and easy to navigate on the console controller. Making it feel like a real native console experience is definitely our goal. We don't want it to feel like a port. We want it to feel like something that if you're a console FPS player, you're jumping into this game and it feels like a AAA console FPS. It doesn't feel like, a PC game for 3 years ago that we just shoved on here. So all that work that we need to do on the interface and on the control schemes is all focused on making sure that we're delivering that, and that's kind of our biggest focus over the next few months.
Outstanding. So, game is actually free to play.
Yeah.
And on PS4, you won't have to have PlayStation Plus to actually go online with this. It kind of skips that. So, tell me a little bit about what players can expect when they actually get PlanetSide 2 on PS4. Are they going to get the full sort of array of content that you guys have pushed out on the PC side?
Yeah. So, I mean, we launched this game in October of 2012. So we've been running the live game now for a little over 18 months. And over that time, we've been putting in tons and tons of updates, bug fixes, optimizations, additions that players have wanted, little UI quality of life stuff, and all that stuff whole hog goes into the PS4. We're not trying to limit the PS4 experience in any way, and after we launch on the PS4, we're going to try to maintain parity on the versions as much as possible. So new features that are going in to the game are going to be going into the PS4 game in line with the PC game.
Now, obviously, on PS4, the DualShock 4 has a lot of different features, internal 6-axis motion sensor, the touchpad, the light bar. Are you guys going to tap in any of that for PlanetSide 2?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're taking advantage of, like, the touchpad. We're using that a lot for doing navigation on things like our map. It's really cool to be able to use the pinch and drag and swipe functionality to kind of navigate on that. So we're working on those kind of things. And, I mean, the 6-axis control is really cool for flight models, so we have that built in so you can use it to fly. And there's so many things that open up. A lot of times players will ask, like, oh, are people going to be at a disadvantage using a controller? And it's like, have you seen people playing FPS games with the controller? They're really good. And in so many cases, you have advantages like that 6-axis for being able to fly and move in 3D. That's a really cool controller that gives you a really strong controller advantage that you don't get on a PC. So to me, it's a wash, and I think that the players who are playing on the console are going to have just as awesome of an experience as anybody playing on the PC.
Now, the game has a lot of depth. There's a lot of vehicles. There's a lot of character classes. Just give me like a high-level look at what players can expect. I, from my own experience back in the PC days, played a lot of tribes. I know in some ways this has some similarities or sort of a spiritual successor in ways. Tell me a little bit about what we can expect from this.
Sure. There's 3 different empires in the game. Each one has access to unique weapons and vehicles, and they kind of have their own style of the way that they play. And, you know, they kind of blend into each other, but then they have distinctions in the way their specific stuff works. Like, for instance, New Conglomerate has more beefy vehicles that do a little bit more damage, take a little bit more damage, but they don't have as much finesse and speed. So when you're fighting against that empire, you just play a little bit differently. And it depends on which empire you're using and the advantages and disadvantages that you want to have there. So each one of the empires, pretty unique. They have a unique vibe, a unique feel. If you're like into sci-fi and you want sci-fi feeling weapons, we have an empire called the Vanu Sovereignty that's very much based on alien technology, plasma weapons, hover tanks, and that kind of thing. So that will kind of scratch that itch for you. But if you want more of like a modern military vibe, the Terran Republic has more of that kind of stuff. It feels very like a contemporary modern military feeling. Yeah, so I mean, there's something for everybody there. And then there's hundreds and hundreds of hours of advancement under each one of the different character classes. There's 6 character classes. There's about a dozen vehicles that you have access to. All of these things have the way for you to personalize your role and your kind of profession within that class, within that vehicle, very deeply. The way that you would expect from an MMO. You know, that level of personalization and customization is all here in this AAA shooter experience, kind of backing it up.
Now, here's a key question for you. What's your personal favorite character class?
Recently, I've been like fiending on playing medic, and it's because I kind of have been playing more as a lone wolf, and it's a good role for that just because I'm very self-sufficient. But you know, it really depends on the situation. In PlanetSide, you're never tied down to the class. If you want to be playing as a medic, you can switch to that right away. Your character advancement options stick with your character, so you don't lose anything that you did on a medic if you play an engineer for a little while or anything like that. So it's really driven by, again, it's a team play game. What does your squad need right now? What does your platoon need? What does your outfit need you to be doing? What does this fight that you guys are working in need? Maybe we need more tanks, and that's what you need to go do, is pull a tank and go do tank support. Maybe we need more medics. But we don't ever want you to feel like, oh, I made the wrong choice and now I can't do the other thing that I want to do. So you're never really locked into that decision.
All right, Matt, thanks for walking us through PlanetSide 2, coming to PS4, hopefully later this